183 encounters in Uttar Pradesh in 6 years. 813 encounter killings across India in 5 years. Are the police increasingly becoming trigger happy? Instant justice or miscarriage of justice? Khaki under the scanner.
Hello and welcome to a special roundtable focus. For the last week, the news headlines have been dominated by the sensational Atiq Ahmed and brother Ashraf killing while being taken by the police for a medical checkup. A killing that took place on live TV in the presence of the police and media persons in Prayagraj. A killing of a feared criminal who's also been an MLA and an MP that has raised several questions over the criminal justice system, the role of the police in particular. Questions that we will raise today with a stellar panel of some of the country's top cops. The men in khaki are under fire, so it's time to shed more light than heat. Joining me in the studio is Prakash Singh, former DG BSF, DGP UP and Assam. Eminence Green, in a way of the police force, brought out the police reform report as well. Ajay Kumar Singh is former DGP Karnataka. Neeraj Kumar is former Commissioner Delhi Police. MN Singh, former Police Commissioner Mumbai. Vikram Singh, former DG UP. So all bases covered, and we'll go question by question with our experts. The first big question to them: do the police have blood on their hands? It's a provocative question, but a question that I want to start with you, Mr. Prakash Singh. In the light of what you've seen, could you argue that the police, especially in UP, have blood on their hands?
No, I would entirely disagree with this kind of generalization. You see, the policemen, 90% of them come from average social background and you can say average middle-class families. And they are just ordinary human beings. They are not assassins, they are not killers. They train as ordinary policemen to serve the people, to enforce the law. That is how they start. Now, in course of time, there are situations where they are under tremendous pressure from the government, tremendous pressure from their own political bosses to deliver results. Like it happened in Hyderabad when the gang rape happened. There was tremendous pressure on the police that within a few days you have to produce results. That was the directive from the highest political bosses. You have to produce results within 3 days. What is this happening? How is this rape happened? And then within a few days thereafter you found that the alleged rapists were gunned down. Now,
so you're saying that the police is almost under pressure to quote unquote give results.
Yes.
And the results mean that if in a case like Atiq and Ashraf, while being taken in police custody, sir,
no,
this is not, or are you distinguishing this case from?
I am clearly distinguishing.
So in this case, do they have blood on their hands?
No. And I'm strongly inclined to believe that it was not engineered by the police, it was not sponsored by the state, it was a case of murder, and the mastermind is yet to be located. There's a mastermind who first selected a team of three youngsters, comparatively unknown criminals. He motivated them, financed them, gave them Turkish pistols, and organized.
But they were in police custody.
Yes, then you can say it was negligence. You can say dereliction. And Mr. Sardesai, if I may add, it is in police custody under full CBI protection, FBI protection, that President Kennedy gets killed, that so many other VIPs across the world have been killed.
Okay, let's widen this. We've got lots of voices here. Vikram Singh, you're from Uttar Pradesh. Do you believe that the UP police has blood on its hands, particularly in the context of Atiq and the fact that there have been so many encounters that have taken place? But in Atiq's case, it happened in police custody. It's the duty of the police to ensure that every person gets the benefit of a due process of law.
Absolutely, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai. I would agree with Mr. Prakash Singh ji, whatever he has said. It can be negligence, it can be cavalier attitude, it may be fatigue, it may be anything. And yes, they can be charged under the guards and escorts rules. And also, this happening in police custody is uncondonable. But to say that the police has blood in their hands, that will be farthest from the truth. And the negligence that has happened, there's a judicial commission. And you also mentioned encounters, 186 encounters and 13 police deaths. I'm not counting the injuries to the police personnel. These 13 police deaths are also indicative of the fact and a litmus test that the police has come out with flying colors. All encounters are subject to judicial scrutiny, also a magistrate inquiry, and also a report to the Human Rights Commission. If anybody feels free, he is welcome to go to the court and get another FIR, but that has not happened. Wild allegations do not serve any purpose.
Okay, let's go to my next guest, Ajay Kumar ji. Do you believe the police has blood on its hands?
It's a very strong term, and that will mean that it is deliberately pre-planned and done by police. That's very difficult to say. I don't have the facts to say that, but it's a serious incompetence, not only negligence. I would even go to the extent of calling it incompetence. That's one thing. But then this issue is actually connected to confusion about role of police, confusion in the minds of police themselves, confusion or expectation by public or expectation by the courts and expectation by the society. So all these three things are at cross purposes. Now, it was said that show results. When we are asked to show results, we must show results within our limitations. We know what our limitations are. Now, because, and this is also connected to which I have been saying whenever I get a chance, that it is certainly connected to the breakdown of criminal justice system. That's why people expect quick results and even support such things, accept such things. We saw in Kanpur, we saw in Hyderabad that public garlanded police on those very doubtful encounters. So this is a very complex issue. Therefore, to say that police have blood on their hand, if they have, they must be dealt with it. But I can't say at this juncture. But it's terrible incompetence and unbelievable incompetence.
You're calling it incompetence. MN Singh, I know, as I said, I positioned it as an extreme question. Does the police have blood on its hands? Yes, Atiq Ahmed was a dreaded criminal, more than 100 FIRs against him. Do you believe the police has much to answer or not?
Well, Rajdeep, I think it's very hasty and very unkind to say straight away that the police have blood on their hands. Well, I would say that an inquiry has been ordered, the police officers, men have been suspended, and I would say that let us wait for the result of the inquiry. But I would like to say that indirectly and by implication, yes, the police do have blood on their hands. Because, you see, but let me also tell you, the UP people are celebrating. I come from UP state myself, and I've been receiving so many messages and WhatsApp messages and all that. I'm feeling very happy that these gangsters have been eliminated. This is the state of the affairs in the society of UP. So, you know, since the police
that happened in Hyderabad also. It's not just in UP. You see, that's where short-circuiting, does that justify short-circuiting the criminal justice system just because people are applauding? Just because people are celebrating?
I'm saying that the police had the responsibility to save these lives of these people. The way they have conducted themselves or performed their duties, I would say that by implication, I would say that they have blood on their hands. It was their job to protect. The way it is, so easily these people were killed by these three youngsters. I would also like to go ahead and say that though the people of UP may be celebrating it because very dangerous criminals have been eliminated, but let me tell you, this is nothing less than a state of anarchy in the state of UP. When you see when people in authority speak so lightly about it and so casually about it, and in a way kind of justifying this, I would say that this is not acceptable. in a civilized society.
Okay, so you
in
are
a society
coming
where
the
law and order
closest.
prevails.
Okay, you
And
are
this is
coming the
certainly-
closest to say that by implication the police have blood on their hands. I'll come back to you, sir, in a moment. But Neeraj Kumar, to complete our round table, let's get you on this. Does the police have blood on its hands? And I'm only referring at the moment to what happened this week. We'll broaden it in a moment.
Yeah, to say that the police have blood on their hands in the light of the Atiq and Ashraf incident is going a bit too far. I would agree with the majority of my colleagues that it may be a case of gross negligence, lack of professionalism, taking things in a very cavalier manner. All that may be true, but to say that they have blood on their hands is going a bit too far.
Okay, let's then turn to question number 2, and it's therefore let's widen it now. Now it's not just about Atiq, but what's happening across this country at times, the role of the police. Should encounter cops be glorified or seen as lawbreakers? Prakash Singh ji, because we've seen films being made on encounter cops, especially in Maharashtra and Mumbai, when they were eliminating the gangs, Dawood Ibrahim, Chota Rajan. Now we are seeing the police being used in UP. 10,000 encounters have taken place in the last 6 years. Should they be glorified or seen as lawbreakers if they use methods that are short-circuiting due process?
Let's be clear about the basics first. When you use the word encounter, I think you are implying that it's a false encounter. Now, to that I have objection. You see, when you talk of an encounter, what is an encounter? An encounter is an engagement between the security forces and a group of criminals. So, and in which there is exchange of fire. So, ipso facto, it does not become false encounter. You will have to say false encounter. You predicate that by saying that whether those who indulge in false encounters, whether they should be glorified or... Now, coming to that, if they are guilty of false...
And that to be decided by a judicial inquiry. You see, the problem is, even in Atiq's case or any case, yes, inquiries are set up, but the sense is that many of these inquiries are set up by the same state government to which these police officers belong. Will the police indict its own?
Look, Rajdeep, we have to respect the institutions that we have created. We can't disrespect them and we can't reject them also. Because then shall we get somebody from US or Russia to conduct these inquiries? We have to trust our institutions. Those institutions have been raised duly under certain statutes, and we have to respect the verdict of those.
You don't believe that those institutions are weakened over time?
No,
Whether human rights commissions, various judicial orders, there's a sense that the state will protect its own.
No, the state may or may not protect its own. That will depend upon the credibility, the integrity, the intellectual honesty of the man who is conducting the inquiry. And not all men are pawns in the hands of the government. I gave my Haryana inquiry. Can anybody on earth say that it was dictated by the state government? I gave Hyderabad inquiry. Andhra Pradesh against on the killing of Chandrababu Naidu. Can anybody say that it was dictated by somebody else? It will depend upon the intellectual integrity of the man. You should choose the right man for the inquiry.
Okay.
And you have to trust the institutions.
Because importantly, you were in Punjab, for example, and at that time, at the peak of terrorism, for example, a KPS Gill was hailed as a hero. He was a super cop. And he was eliminating those involved in terror. Can that be distinguished from, let's say, what happened in Hyderabad, the case that you referred to, where those accused of rape are suddenly found eliminated in so-called escape, when they try to escape from the law?
Since you have brought in Punjab, let me tell you one thing. I was there for 4 years. During those 4 years, dozens of senior ministers, top bureaucrats of the country, would visit Punjab. And they all had one and only one message for all of us. What was that message? Do what you like, but finish terrorism.
Do what you like, but finish terrorism.
Aatankawad khatam karo, jo karna ho karo.
Jo karna ho karo.
Yes, that was the message from the top leadership of the country. And as Shekhar Gupta, your colleague, has said, that if the policemen have to be tried for what they did during the phase of terrorism, then they should also try three prime ministers of the country, as many home ministers, as many cabinet
But can we draw an analogy with Punjab, which was an exceptional situation where there was terrorism, with what we saw in Hyderabad, for example?
No. A very clear answer is no.
Okay, very clear answer is no.
But going back to your question, whether they should be glorified or treated as lawbreakers.
Yes.
Assuming that you are talking of repeat false encounters.
Yes.
They should neither be glorified, they should not be glorified, and they should, after mandatory inquiries, once the truth comes out, they should be treated as ordinary criminals.
Okay. They should be then treated as ordinary criminals. M.N. Singh, let me come to you next on this, because Mumbai was the place where these encounter cops got this larger-than-life image. Films were done around the encounter cops of the 1990s in Mumbai. Do you believe that the time has come to step back? We saw what happened to Sachin Vaze only a few years ago. He's now in jail. He was seen as someone who was an encounter cop and then eventually found himself in the Antilla case being accused of murder and more. Do you believe encounter cops should be glorified, or we need to step back and look at this dispassionately?
There is no question of glorifying this encounter. That was the point I was making in regard to UP situation, when I said that it's a kind of a state of anarchy, because when people celebrate the elimination of somebody who is maybe a dreaded criminal or whosoever it may be, then it is not a good sign. Or when people in authority start talking very highly about these things and saying, I don't want to now get into political aspect of the debate, let it remain.
No, we will come to that. The point, sir, M.N. Singh ji, just a minute. Sir, the point is, when this was happening in Mumbai, also people were celebrating, because people thought otherwise this is the only way to eliminate the gang world is to allow these encounters to take place. That's the thing. Even today in UP, people are celebrating because they think that's the only way to get, to spread fear among criminals.
Doubt that the situation in UP had gone completely out of hand, and it did need strong handling, but it didn't mean that you go about glorifying these encounter specialists or glorifying the way the elimination takes place. But coming back to the Bombay situation, Sachin Vaje's example that you say, it was an aberration. No chief minister or no home minister in the state of Maharashtra ever celebrated or ever talked very highly about this thing, publicly going about it or speaking so highly about it in the state of assembly. No chief minister, no home minister ever talked about it or said shabash. Now, you see, and there were some examples in Bombay police who became criminals themselves, and they were dealt with very severely. Now, that is a different story. In any police force, there will be some people.
So you're saying the Sachin Vazes are okay. You're saying the Sachin Vazes are aberrations, but the word used by M.N. Singh thrice is anarchy. Do you believe, Bikram Singh, that we are operating, even the police are operating in a state of anarchy? Do you believe that the police are under pressure in states like UP to deliver results, and because if a policeman delivers results and kills so many criminals in sometimes some would say fake encounters, he will be in a way celebrated, because people believe law and order needs sometimes short-circuited processes, and that creates a sense of anarchy.
Very true, Rajdeep, but the police, not only in UP, but anywhere in the country, is absolutely and always under pressure 24/7. But the pressure is there to deliver results legitimately, not illegitimately. We have a great misconception about encounters, that I don't like somebody's face, I take him around the corner and just pump 6 bullets into him like the Mossad. It doesn't happen that way. The rules of the encounter are Section 96 to 104 of the Indian Penal Code, the right of private defense, Section 46 and Section 60 of the Criminal Procedure Code, arrest of hazardous criminals and those charged with murder. There are standard operating procedures, and if the policemen are following it, some political parties and some political outfits and some communities find it very disturbing that one of their own has been eliminated. They never talk of anything else. In the case of encounters that you are mentioning, 186 encounters, 13 police casualties. People were crying hoarse that people of a particular community are being eliminated as selectively eliminated. People of that community constituted just 33%, and people from the majority community constituted the rest of 67%.
So are you saying that the police in these encounters is not selective? You're refuting the charge which is made sometimes by minority community leaders that only people close to, belonging to that community are targeted. Am I clear? It's not just Muslims who are targeted.
Very true, Rajdeep. Look, I'm sticking out my neck. I have not joined the police service or the IPS to become a hard assassin for anyone. I'll function within the ambit of law. I have my own sanskar. I am accounting to my own conscience and not just to the political agenda of certain political parties. It does not happen. There are very honorable constables right up to IPS officers who would not succumb to any illegitimate instructions. But like Napoleon had said, in any organization, there'll be 1% people, 1%, not more, who would succumb and eagerly carry out the illegal instructions. And they are the people who are known as Sachinwazes, encounter specialists, Dabangam and Singhams.
Neeraj Kumar, do you believe that these encounter cops have been celebrated in recent times and that has perhaps in a way skewed the way the police also, the self-image of the police?
Understand is that the glorification is not done by the police itself or by the government or by the establishment. The glorification is done by the public at large. That includes also occasionally the people who make movies or who write juicy books and so on. So the glorification, they are not glorified within the department. Somebody who's indulging in encounters is not as if he's a hero for the department. That should be very clear about. The secondly, people who carry out or who do these encounters and fake encounters, it's very important to understand that not all encounters are fake. Surely, Butler House encounter was not a fake encounter. But if there is an encounter which is fake, then it is for the person, for the police officer who is carrying out that fake encounter, it is he who has to face the charges as and when they are leveled. So he is doing all that at his own risk. And fake encounters are never approved of by the department at large or by the government at large.
Ajay Kumar Singh ji, you weigh in on this debate. You know, the whole point is the pressure to deliver results, as Prakash Singh said. Does that lead to policemen believing they have a license to kill today?
Certainly not. Certainly not. I am quite clear about it. Secondly, but I agree with others that other friends that all encounters are not false encounters. We must distinguish this. There are very genuine, as my friend and batchmate Vikram pointed out, the use of force to the extent of killing is provided in law. Section 46 CRPC and 60 CRPC, 96 to 102 IPC, all those things are there. So whether, you see, an encounter is a meeting, sudden meeting, unknown, and therefore, if there is a need, you open fire. Either you are killed or the other person is killed. That is an encounter. And by the very definition, if there is any encounter which is pre-planned or ordered, it is not an encounter. It's a false encounter, and it must be dealt with such and not glorified, but it should be legally dealt with. And such things should not be allowed in a civilized and democratic society. Otherwise, where is rule of law? So therefore,
all of you are saying, all of you are sort of, stating the first principles. My worry is, what is the reality? Is the reality on the ground that the police is today under pressure to deliver results? And because they are under pressure, they will short-circuit processes. That's the point, Mr. Ajay Kumar Singh.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. If somebody asks me to deliver through illegal means, I would flatly refuse to do so. No. Delivering does not mean. Delivering means, yes, with your competence, with your professionalism, you deliver, with the systems available to you. But then there I come back. You see, unless the criminal justice system is swift, is effective, these things are come up and then people short-circuit the whole system.
So in a way, it is the failures of the criminal justice system, failure to deliver swift and sure justice in a way. Remember Atiq Ahmed, 10 judges in Atiq's case were even refusing to hear his case. And over the years, the FIRs piled up. He continued to remain an MLA, MP, and thereby got away. Did that, in a way, almost embolden many believe? The police, perhaps, dare I say, or those who were hired to kill him, to short-circuit the process, which leads me to the next question. Are police acting as foot soldiers of their political bosses? All of this is being done with some element of political blessings across the country, Prakash Singh. It's the politician who, in a way, is driving the police sometimes to short-circuit judicial processes. To fix political rivals, political adversaries.
Look, Rajdeep, I think you would have read the Act of 1861, and you should know, I'm sure you know it already, that the Act was framed because the British government wanted a police force which should be at their beck and call, which should carry out their orders, right or wrong, to crush the opposition and continue with their imperial authority over India. That was the background of the Act of 1861, and that needs to be understood. That Act still remains. Why? Yeah, but that's my question.
So a colonial police force,
Yes.
which was acting in a way on the behest of the colonial masters at the time of the British Raj,
is today acting
at the behest of their Indian masters.
Of the political bosses in power today. And that is where the Supreme Court Direction number 1 comes into force. You should have,
This is the police reforms that you had gone with to the courts.
The very first direction of the Supreme Court on police reform says that the police should be insulated from outside pressures.
Sir, but that has not happened. Today,
not
for
happened.
example, Punjab policeman will come and pick up someone in Delhi. Assam policeman will come and pick up a Jignesh Mevani overnight in Gujarat, take him to Assam. So the police is being used to settle political scores.
Look, picking up State A, police picking up an accused in State B, there's nothing wrong with it.
At midnight, sir.
No, just a minute.
Yes.
But it has to be done as per the prescribed procedure.
That's not happening.
That is happening and also not happening. Right.
Yes, but there are innumerable cases that are coming up where police are being seen to be handmaidens of their political bosses. Neeraj Kumar, do you agree with that? Delhi police, for example, particularly under pressure, for example, because this is the national capital. But across the country, police acting at the behest of their political bosses.
See, Delhi police is a blessed police force because it is not under the state government. The local MLAs and the local deputy chief minister or chief minister, they do not pass any orders to the police. So to that extent, unlike other police forces, the Delhi police is insulated from the state political establishment. However, technically it is under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now, I have served here as the head of the force. I have also served in other capacities. People feel that the Ministry of Home Affairs is all the time observing the Delhi police and giving orders on a minute-to-minute basis. That doesn't happen. And
Okay, so you're saying that there is relative insulation for the police force in the national capital, but across the states, Vikram Singh in Uttar Pradesh, haven't chief ministers virtually used the police to settle political scores?
Rajdeep, for the first time during the show, I feel that there is a lot of merit in what you are saying. As I said before, in any given force, there would be 1% population who would be more than willing and eager to go supine before the political masters and work like the moving officers of that political party. You have such sad sacks and such dishonorable elements in every force. But yes, I have seen and practiced them. And all of us who have served, I doubt if Ajay Kumar Singh, Akhilesh, my illustrious batchmate, had to suffer this in Karnataka, but I'm sure all of us in North India, including M.N. Singh sir, would have faced this kind of a situation, receiving illegitimate orders. Now it is for us. Our most honorable Mr. Padma Shri Prakash Singh Sahab even had to quit his job as the DGP because he refused to toe the line of the politicians. He will not say, let us, the entire...
But he's an exception. He's an exception because, M.N. Singh, the truth is, and we are seeing it in Mumbai, the police is increasingly facing criticism that whoever comes to power, all they do is use the police force to settle their political scores. You want to lift up a journalist like Arnab Goswami early in the morning, you can do so because he was being critical of the government at the time. A new government comes in, they will then use the police force to settle their scores with so-called political rivals. It's happening all the time.
Well, Rajdeep, you are quoting the example of Maharashtra, Mumbai police, and the recent examples of Arnab Goswami and all that. I would not shy away from admitting that yes, there was a pressure on the police indeed, and the actions which were taken by the police were wrong. There's no doubt about it at all. There was meddling at the political meddling in the police affairs, but to say that the politicians use the police to eliminate the political rivals is far from the truth. That is not correct. And I agree with everybody in the panel, particularly Prakash Singh ji, that no police top leader ever will accept. In my knowledge, nobody has accepted and gone to that extent. Fixing up in a case is a different thing. But Rajdeep,
no, fixing that, you can fix what? Sir, there are so many police officers today who are in the enforcement directorate in the CBI. In the CBI,
Rajdeep,
they are being accused of
talking about the police, putting the entire blame on the police. Please also talk about the criminal justice system. Please also talk about the state of the society. Please also talk about the political meddling. Please also talk about the police reform. These are the crux of the issues which are responsible for the state of affairs that we are in. No police officer, the top leadership ever would like the police force to be used like this. And I'm sure that no police officer has ever agreed. Yes, fixing up in some case. Now you talked about that somebody being picked up from Delhi or Bombay by the Assam police. It is done according to the law. And ultimately, the man would be produced before the court of law, and the court of law will decide. But
sir, picking up a Jignesh Mevani at midnight, when the Assam police comes and picks him up at midnight.
Also talk about the politics of the country. Talk about the criminal justice in the country.
So when a Karnanidhi was picked up at midnight,
you do that reform,
sir, I take your point, but when a Karnanidhi was picked up at midnight by Jayalalitha, by the police force when Jayalalitha was in power, when, as I mentioned, Mr. Mevani being picked up by the Assam police at midnight, the Bengal police has gone to Goa and picked up someone who was critical of Mamata Banerjee's government again. These are all questions where, as I said, it leads me to my, these are all troubling questions, which leads me to question number 4. Our focus today is on the police. You want to widen it to the criminal justice system? I take your point, and in fact, you can give me examples of where that goes wrong. But my 4th question, have the police become corrupted, or are they soft targets being unfairly targeted? Mr. Ajay Kumar Singh, your view. Do you believe the police have become corrupted? You're in a state like Karnataka going to the polls. Are the police totally corrupted today? We've had police commissioners, no less, today facing charges of corruption, especially in the transfer Raj and more, and worse. Vasudhi Raj.
No, the fact is that that we cannot say that now they have become corrupt. There was corruption in the police, and there was corruption in other departments, there was corruption. Therefore, to say that only police have been corrupted, that's not right. But there is corruption in police, fact. There's no doubt about it. But I would certainly like to come back. I have been mentioning about criminal justice system as one of the reasons of these illegal happenings. But I would like to mention 3 more reasons. One is, of course, the biggest, the worst culprit is political interference. Recently, we heard somebody saying that ek akela sab pe bhari par raha hai. Actually, this political interference on one side and all other good intentions on the other side. But this political interference is taking. Second point is police leadership. Police leadership. I think they have to show much more guts, courage of conviction than we have seen in public domain so far.
And third?
Third is societal values. Police is part of society. Whatever values are there in the society, they are reflected here. They will be shared here. That's a fact. So how to insulate them? We want to create an island of excellence. It's a difficult task. And many people have to play a role in it if some improvement has to be made. Including let's get in Prakash Singh ji. Prakash Singh ji,
has the police been corrupted? And I'm talking of police leadership, not just the constabulary, which is often blamed. Right down the line, I hear when I go to Mumbai stories of how particular amounts are being offered to become the head of a particular police station or a district. Amounts being paid to politicians. This is the buzz in Mumbai, which used to be seen as the most celebrated police force.
I'm surprised, Rajdeep, that you have framed this question the way you have done. If Prashant Bhushan is to be believed, how many, 8 or 9 Chief Justices of India were corrupt? Am I wrong?
Yes.
That's the allegation he
made.
And to which he has not been hauled up for contempt to this day.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if the police has also become corrupt, and may I put it differently, can you name one wing of the administration or government which has not been corrupted in the last, say...
So if we accept that, what's the solution?
Solution is you have to start from the top. Corruption starts from the top. Please remember, Rajdeep. If you can clear the top, and the top means the political leadership.
But the Prime Minister says, na khaunga, na khane dunga, and yet we hear these stories across this country where police officers are allegedly, along with their political masters, involved in various corrupt deals.
My dear Rajdeep, Prime Minister is just one man. He can't be ensuring corruption-free in a huge country like India. He has to have a team also which shares the same ideal. Unfortunately, I mean, you have a Prime Minister who says, na khaunga, na khane dunga, but there are a whole lot of people down below who are going about merrily the same old way.
Okay, I'm going to come to solutions in the end, but should the police be sensitized about human rights is my next question. You want to take that, Neeraj Kumar? Should the police be sensitized about human rights? Do human rights really matter to, let's say you're a constable or an inspector already under pressure, not living in great living conditions. The living conditions of many of our lower constabulary needs to be looked at. Would that person be concerned about human rights?
See, violation of human rights cannot be explained or cannot be justified by living conditions of the constabulary or by any other situation. And your question is, should they be sensitized? It is an ongoing process. Every police officer is sensitized and should be continually sensitized towards human rights. It is a fact that human rights are often forgotten, often thrown out of the window, and they are violated, and torture and things like that happens. But to prevent that, it has to be an ongoing process to take action, to detect violations, to take departmental action, come down heavily on them, and to continue the education of our rank and file.
But, despite that, we are seeing from time to time cases of custodial deaths. There are serious concerns on these issues, Vikram Singh. Is the police of this country sensitized to human rights?
Let me tell you the subculture of the police. In the early 70s, happily, that subculture does not exist any longer. That the moment a police officer came back to his home state, he was said, unless you are a half butcher and half human, you are not a good police officer. Now it have to be cerebral, you have to be tech savvy, you have to be intellectually and have a lifelong in order to be a good police officer. Being a butcher does not help anyone. Then condoning third degree, or use of third degree or any human rights violation has stringent provisions of punishment, 5 years, no sensitive posting, no gallantry awards, no medals, no recognition, no foreign assignments. Has that ever happened? 166A of the IPC introduced by Justice Verma Commission for any delinquent police officer who is not positive and does not react to any gender issues. Has there single case of 166A IPC registered? Then these are the questions that I would like everybody to answer and introspect. If nothing has happened, I say there are no bad soldiers, there are only bad generals. It's time for the leadership to wake up and instill a sense to respect human rights are sacred, they are sacrosanct.
Therefore, let's turn to my final question today, and I'll get all of you to respond to this. What would ideal police reforms look like? Start with it, MN Singh. What would you, if there was one change that you want to see that would make the police more accountable, perhaps more independent, what would that be? What would you like to see to make our police force more credible, more accountable, more independent?
Well, Rajdeep, I would also like to say a few things about the human right aspect that you said. Yes, there is a need to sensitize the policemen, and it is an ongoing process, as the ex-Bombay police commissioner said. But I would also say that now very educated boys are joining the police, even in the ranks of constabulary. And with education, things are improving. I would say that it is not the same thing as it used to be before the independence. There is an awakening. The police force is certainly, the behavior is, in my opinion, improving. Now, if the politicians allow the police force to do their work the way they should, I am sure that things will be far better. But the question of what one reform you should do is that, I would say, allow the police chief to run his force and hold him accountable. There is nothing like that. But in the name of the police reform, many states, particularly I will say about the Maharashtra state, that the police act has been reformed in a reverse direction. In fact, the police powers of the police chief has been taken away. His power has been diluted, and he has been made ineffective to control his own police force. You want the results, then empower the police chief, let him do his job and hold him accountable.
Okay.
There is no other way.
Okay,
If
so you're
too many
saying
people, too many
empowerment,
cooks spoil the
empower
broth.
the police
If
force,
the-
because
if the
today you have multiple DGPs, you will have even, you have multiple authorities even within the police force, and maybe you need a strong police force that is empowered. Ajay Kumar Singh, quick response to that. What do you believe is that one ideal reform, one thing you want to see change?
All right. One is, you see, transfers. The DGs and various different levels have no authority to transfer. All transfers are political transfers. Therefore, accountability is totally diluted and loyalty is totally diluted. Professionalism is compromised. So that's one thing. But there, I must also say this empowerment. Now, through the efforts of Sri Prakash Singh ji, the Supreme Court judgment, and then all states have, I think almost all of them, establishment board has been established to effect transfers, of which DGP of the state is the chairperson and other members. They are supposed to do the transfer of sub-inspectors, inspector in Karnataka, even up to the YSP. In my time, we did it. We faced problems, but we did it and we succeeded. But now I am told not a single transfer is done by this establishment board. The empowerment has been made, but the individuals, the leadership is not prepared to use that empowerment. Then what do? We require people of guts. We require people of courage of conviction.
So you require,
and how to get it is a bigger question.
Okay, you require a police leadership of spine. Quick answer again from you, Neeraj Kumar. The one change that you would like to see.
I entirely agree with you that it is the police leadership and the Indian police service as a whole which needs to kind of raise itself to the level that is expected of it. The leadership, there is a crisis of leadership in the police force today, and I would like that the Indian police service officers, they reform themselves, because bulk of the reforms in the police can be done internally. Can be, if the transfer powers are being taken away by the state government, the DGP should go and fight it out. How can you decide which sub-inspector goes where, which station house officer is suited for which police station? All this is my power, it is my lookout. And I will not allow anybody to interfere. So it is the police leadership has to stand up to the politicians.
You're saying the police leadership has to stand up to the politician. Vikram Singh, the one change that you would like to see.
Rajdeep, 4 quick points in one. Unimpeachable integrity, top grade professional competence, unbiased conduct, social sensitivity. These are qualities of leadership which the police leadership not only inculcate in themselves, but impart and enforce in all their colleagues.
Okay, since we started with you, let's end with you, Prakash Singh. And since you really triggered off this debate, you went to the court, the Prakash Singh police reforms are there, lying there somewhere in the Home Ministry, waiting to be implemented as per the Supreme Court directive. What's that one change? Is it insulating the police from the political masters? That is the only change that will change the way policing is done in this country.
You have taken words out of my mouth. In fact, you see, police reforms is a vast subject. But if you limit that to just one single point, I will say create a situation where I can function objectively, dispassionately, without any sense of fear or favor, by providing an insulation which prevents a police officer from being victimized when he enforces the rule of law.
How do you do that actually? In practical terms, how will that happen?
In practical terms,
It means that the police, any decision taken by the police cannot be subject to review by the political masters. Am I correct?
You see, the National Police Commission made a recommendation. That recommendation was included by me as one of my prayers.
Yes.
And the Supreme Court accepted it, and they made it their direction number one. Direction number one was that every state should have a state security commission comprising 50% government nominees and 50% representatives from the civil society, men of great integrity, men of formidable reputations, who can stand up to any pressure from politicians' side and who are not government people. And this body would serve two purposes. On the one hand, they would ensure that the state government does not interfere in the day-to-day functioning of the police. And on the other hand, they would ensure that policemen do not transgress the limits of law. This would be their main charter, the state security as some kind of a...
And the power to transfer is not with the politician, it is within the police force itself.
That's a separate issue.
But it is. It should be.
That should, yes, it should. I mean, up to a certain level, it must remain with the police. At the highest level, let the state government have it.
Either way, we need change. We cannot have laws of the 19th century, colonial laws, deciding the way our police force functions in the 21st century. And we cannot have the police taking the law into their own hands. That is unacceptable. The police should be role models for citizens to feel safe, secure, and ensure due process for each and every citizen. That's what we really need. We need police reforms. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this special roundtable. And thank you for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Jai Hind, Namaskar, Eid Mubarak.
As State of War Karnataka begins, a reminder, who is the true number one? The 5 big voices speak to us before all the others. From Chief Minister Bommai to Chief Challenger Siddaramaiah, from old warhorse Yadurappa to muscleman D.K. Shivakumar and Kingmaker Kumaraswamy. When it's Karnataka, there's no competition. India's #1 election channel.